more than 50 participants now, 56. So let's start. Share the screen. Let's see. So so far we have discussed about the start. Yes, the course we started discussing about initially the different challenges, and after that we discussed the kind of a comparison of the software development process. That was the main thing what we discussed last time. And I hope you've gotten a kind of a chance to go through at least the slide sets if you don't have time to go through the videos. Understanding the basic concept is very important. And I put an activity. Looks like no one has it started. In that section, the discussion on the evolution of the software development process model towards the unified process, that was there. But then, based on the last time, the discussion, I posted some questions to initiate a different discussion on the development of this software development models as well as software engineering process. Even today's section is related to this one. Video on the last time, the discussion is also there. So if those who wanted to watch what we really discussed on the last time, it's here. Okay, good afternoon to all of you. So I will not go through that one. It's up to you. So who wanted to grasp it. Then these questions are very, very important. So I will just discuss some of these questions and want all of you to participate in that one. Now, the first question is, factors to be considered when selecting. Okay, if the software development model, if we really wanted to select, okay, it is a tough challenge to identify a suitable model for software process through which software product is being developed. What are the things that you will consider when selecting a suitable model? So the more thing we discussed last time, some of the few factors, but I want all of you to do a kind of a literature review. All the people don't want to consider all the questions, okay? But I expect at least 2 questions if you can participate. That may be better, okay? At least 2 questions, but when you are participating in the discussion, try to do an analysis of the present literature and try to give a kind of a constructive contribution, not just copy paste type of thing. You can give the references is better, but try to contribute from your own words. Okay, so here factors to be considered when selecting. Okay, so there are many things people will have to consider, several factors. So what are these things? So the discussion will help people to identify some kind of the mechanisms to at least to think about what are the when selecting the suitable software development model. For example, if the requirements are not specific or not very difficult to identify at very beginning, then waterfall model is not suitable. So then easily you can say it's as a one factor, but there are other factors. And again, try to find the supporting references for your claim. The next question is process versus models. Are they dependent each other or not? Today's is also I'm going to discuss. So what is the relationship between a process and a model? So model is inside the process. Model could be considered as a kind of a tool where people consider this model. Okay, within the same process, there could be different models, but they are not totally independent. There is some relationship. So I like to see what you can find and how do you really like to discuss on that one. Okay. And yes. Then the other next question is this customization of software process models. What do you mean by customization of software process models? Now, model is very important for the particular software process. Okay. And then sometimes people wanted to change the models based on the organizational requirement or project requirement. So then how it could be done? So that is the kind of the thing, how this can be done. What are the things that could be customized? Are software engineers customize the models? So it's a kind of an open question, not a straightforward answer. You need a little bit of an analytical skill to provide an answer for this question. Then influence of process or model. Process or model, which one will affect the final product? What are the evidences that we have to justify the influence? What do you think? Today's I also wanted to go in a brief introduction about this one. Process or models? Model is inside the process. So what is the bigger thing? Process. We sometimes call the process models. Okay. Then directly the processor, the development activities. Model becomes a kind of a tool. But suppose if something goes wrong, can you put the blame on the model or the process? How do you identify? I mean, which is a more responsible in the software development context? I think the responsibility usually goes to the people who manage the process. So even the next section, which I wanted to discuss a little bit more detail, process engineering. Okay. Software development process is considered to be an engineering activity. And in this engineering activity, the selection of the model is depending on the overall requirement, and depends on the type of the factors related to the project. Therefore, the process is accountable main thing of the model. And sometimes people may have different models, but the process has defined. The processes, software development processes is something that is established at the organizational level most of the time. And they manage this thing. So we really need to discuss that thing a little bit in detail. I so far discussed more on the model and but the process is very, very important. We will discuss about what is in a process, how the process could be improved. So far we discuss what we assume here. If we have a good model, then the process will be better. But that is an assumption. But there are other factors which affects the organization for the process. And usually an organization would like to obtain a kind of an external certification for their process. Why? Can someone say what is the reason for it? If I give you an example, some people openly say even in their company profile, ISO certified software development process. Why and what is the reason for it? Can someone give an answer for that one? Even at the chat box, you can type if you have any idea. Just say. Certified software development processes. And commonly lots of people wanted to get this ISO certified and they even put into their profile. I don't know whether in the organization, whether you are working, whether you have it in such kind of a status. Some organization have, they even put in their profile. Is there anyone working at a company where the ISO certified process has been established? So sometimes we don't know. Happy to hear from someone. We have it since majority of the people are working in the software companies. Have you heard what is called the ISO certified software development processes? Can you just raise your hand? In the Zoom, you can raise the hand if you have if you have heard that thing. Then at least I get the feedback. How many of you? Okay, good. Okay, 5 people have raised hands, 6. So far 6 people. It's good that they have heard. Yes, ISO certified software processes in some companies. And yes, there is another very worldwide famous model called the CMMI. Okay, what stands for the CMMI? Carnegie Mellon Maturity Integration Model. And I'll talk about that one a little bit more detail later, but you need to do a more analysis on these factors because it's a very important area in the software engineering. The processes are important. Organization would like to get an external certification for their processes, and then that will help for them to, even in sometimes when the people submit their proposals for the tenders and the other thing, I mean the big projects, it's a kind of a requirement. Organization should have a certified software development process. So in the certified software development process, the model is also very important. And some people have what is this called, the customized or proprietary, specific to the organization. They also have, and I know in some people say proprietary models they have. It's like that. So process or model, which one will affect the final product? And yes, now most of the facts are there, but you are invited to discuss more details. Past and present. In the past, different software process models have been proposed, considering the different aspects. When we compare these different models, we can see a kind of evolution of these models to develop a better software, as well as to address the challenges of the developing or maintaining software. What are the evidences that you will see to justify it? Any comment, any question on this thing? So things started with a waterfall, okay, but now there are so many models. Yeah. Seamless development of the products, agile model. Yes, agile has made a significant change in the process, okay, and I'll show you how it is really significant later. This is kind of the thing where evolution it's happening. Even now people are talking about proprietary model. Organization have their own models, but however abstract good models are still very, very important. And today we will have a brief discussion. I will give an introduction. You can watch more details on a model called the Open Unified Process, Open Up. Okay, don't know whether you have heard. It's a kind of an open source, very popular model, which comes with the Eclipse framework. In reality, it is not being practiced heavily in the industry, but what I have seen, lots of people have developed a customized model based on the Open Up. Open Up is still very good model for people to understand the way how software process development model could be constructed in organization. What are the basic things that we really need? So academically, that is a very interesting model. But in a practical world, people wanted to customize them. Yes, that's freedom is there. Then something about SDLC, I also put it. Software development life cycle. As I explained last time, is the main stage is what you see in the process. Okay, so in the main stages, and these stages are defined considering the work that will be completed. And different ways people describe. I explained last time the 4 main stages, but I have seen sometimes there are SDLC with 7 stages. So it's in a different authors defines the SDLC in different ways. There is no saying say you need to have this minimum number of things, but overall the work, actual work will be developed, will be structured based on the SDLC. That is the way it started. Now, even if you look at the waterfall model, it's a work-based model where work has been defined or classified based on the different stages. And later that was expanded to the different context. Then the next one about the the linear process model to manage quantity of work. Yes, so it's waterfall model. It's a good example to show the unidimensional model in which work is categorized with respect to the different levels. As I said, many weaknesses were later identified and alternative models were proposed to overcome those weaknesses. What are those different variants of the waterfall model? What is the biggest weakness? I mean, according to your understanding, what is the biggest issue? Okay, weakness, rather than saying weakness, you can say, what is the biggest issue that is associated with the waterfall model? Yes, hard to go back. Anything else? Changing requirements. Hard to go back because you want to go back to change the requirements. That's right. Anything else? Can you remember last time I think I mentioned something called the Big Bang approach? What does it mean? Big Bang. Have you heard? When I say Big Bang approach, one of the problem in the waterfall model, people are trying to consider the whole project at once. They want to capture all the requirements and then move to the next stage. That is like everything they want to move from one stage to the other stage. It's something like an army marching towards an enemy territory. Okay, the whole battalion move from one stage to the no one is going to stay on the one stage. So this is what we call the Big Bang approach, and that practically becomes very difficult to do so. Okay, some of the things will take more time. Some of the things will have to delay. You can't do everything. Even suppose if you think you have to build a house, can you build everything at once? No, it's you have to build a house in a gradual way. This is why the incremental approach became a very popular as an alternative way for a waterfall model. So simultaneous checking of the system components. Yeah, to some extent. Then next one about the process model to manage the timing of the work. A high amount of the risk and uncertainty. That's right. That is what is associated because you can't turn back. You have to move forward, and if some mistake is happened, that you have to live with the mistake. We call it. I mean the timing. Work management. I mean the one way to manage the work is where you take a increment by increment or step by step. We say. You finish a small quantity, then you go to the next thing, and then next thing, and then gradually you start integrating. That's one approach. The other approach is the time-based management. Yeah, we discussed last time about this model of circular approaches where we wanted to manage. So spiral is the one such an example. So you can further do some investigation and reply to that question. People versus process models. Considered to be the third dimension of the software development model. Okay. I mean, if I consider the quantity of the work as well as the timing as two dimensions, then this is also kind of a dimension. But if I ask the question, what is the most important, process or people? What is most important? Process or people? People. Some people say, anyone says process. Well, this is actually a very debatable philosophical question. Generally, I mean, the lots of time, I mean, you may have heard people say, even in not only in the software development process, in every context, uh, people play a very important. And there is an open phrase, even in the other context, you may have heard, Minisa Sada Ratahadan. Okay, that means, in other words, if you make the people capable, people empower the people, and if they are really good, then automatically the whole country development will be could be automated rather than doing. So that is one approach, one model. But if you practically think, well, that is, we understand that is important, but if you don't have a good process, good people can't do anything. Okay, so it is very important not to consider only one side. Yes, good people with an inadequate process, or maybe inadequate people within a good process. Yes. So I think if someone want to walk, he needs both legs. Otherwise, it's a difficult journey. So both these things are important, process as well as people. Both has to be accommodated, and there are some limitations among the people. There are some limitations with respect to the process. So bringing in a good process is a responsibility of the management. Okay. And adding good people and then managing the people most of the time, it's very important. So that is even in the management process, human resource management is on one side, then the development of production management will be on the other side. Both are very important. It's not really on one side. Yeah, so this is another open question for people to come and comment. Why the agile? And all these things today is very popular because they put on a more emphasis on this side. Okay? Yes, it is very important. And sometimes people think the moving towards the agile, you provided more freedom for people. And the people like that. I mean, the most of the time, people don't like to have more restrictions that brings down the productivity. So to do that part, I mean, the kind of two ways sometimes people, I'll discuss the more details when it comes to the agile software development section, but just keep in mind those things. Future automation of software development process. What do you think? It is new trend in the software development, and the model needs to facilitate automation via what are the three models? Yeah, automation is considered to be a very, very important thing. And in today's context, everyone is more concerned about this automation. And what you can see in this, lots of AI-based approaches, one of the biggest advantages is to bring the automation. What about the automation in the software development process? One way is this use of a computer-aided software engineering tools and the other tools. But can you develop a machine which can develop the software. Okay. To what extent can you do this one? I mean, there are lots of discussions, so I'll leave it that for you to do an analysis and come back. This is another question I came, but I just wanted to post and see how the people can react to that one. CI/CD means what? Continuous. Just type it if you know. Continuous what? Integration and continuous. CI means continuous integration. Yes, right. CD means deployment, deliver. People say both. Development. Lots of things people refer this one, but usually it's the continuous delivery. That's the common term people talked about. CI/CD. That is the today's practice with respect to the incremental development. That's what I see. Okay. Incremental development is in all concepts, but it is being practiced today in a different way. And CI/CD has provided a very good framework to take the incremental development into a practical environment where how people can use that model in reality. So open to all of you to comment and discuss tools, methods, and techniques for models. Model is not a visual structure. Okay. Model is a tool in a process. When I say a tool, it is not just the tool that which you use to visualize the thing. Probably that will be in one attribute, visualization. But more than that, there must be other supporting material should comes within a toolkit. Okay, that will help the people to apply the tool in a creative way to make the process success. So the process engineering tool is very, very important. Okay, and then people really need. So what are these things that should be considered in the toolkit? So people really need to do some searching. So I no need to, we'll give it, since we have almost 100 people in the course. I'm inviting all of you to look at these things and then start the discussion. This is related to the both last week discussion as well as today's one. So the today, what I'm going to talk about the more on this thing, software process engineering. So the software process engineering is where you will see real kind of a process, but how people really wanted to, why software process engineering is required. Now, if we ask that question, what is the importance of the software process engineering? Can you say, what is the reason for it? Analyzing the problem. Now, as we discussed earlier, this is the most important thing the organization will have. This is actually the one that drives the from beginning to the end. The whole success depends on the software process in the organization. And then it is not only the model. I mean, the model is just the tool, but there are so many factors around that. Okay. And the outcome of the software process is the what we call the product. Software process will produce a product, and then we may interest to know the quality of the product. So if you have it, in other words, if you have a good process, that will create a good product. So when I say good product, that product should have a good quality. So there is one comment: to reduce the problems, wastage, and have a flexible method to follow when creating and maintaining software. Yes. If you have a good process, yes, you can reduce the problem, you can reduce the wastage, and flexible method to follow when creating, maintaining. Yes, of course, development. That's a kind of a benefit. That is why people are important. And when a client wants to give a project to an organization, the main reason for asking whether your process is a certified process, and do you have an external review? Are you following an engineering approach? Is that it's some kind of an acceptable level process? So this is the people will definitely will ask. But on the other hand, yeah, another comment says that leads to an optimum solution for a problem. Yeah. Now, every process will have a kind of a status. For example, if you say at the beginning, a process will be on a one particular level or standard. Okay. Process have some standard. So most probably in kind of a standard. So organization may accept or will work hardly at the very beginning to establish a good process in an internal standard in an organization. Yeah, we can say like that. It's in a process. But what about after that? So this process, the management has a responsibility to look after the process. Why? Improvement to the process should be a continuous process. If people don't improve the process, what will happen? Process may go into some problematic environment. Always they need to monitor. I mean, if people want to improve it, first thing is what they have to do it. They have to monitor the process. And then monitoring is not enough. People will have to analyze the data of what they capture through the monitoring process, and then see the weaknesses and the modification, and the people will have to do those things to the process in order to make the improvement. So there is should be the first thing is the process improvement. People really need to what the people call the measure or monitor. Then analyze. What else? Is that enough? No, they need to change. So those are the three things in a process, what you can see, I mean, the measuring, analyzing, and changing. So in a way that will help the people to develop the process. So the process development, those three things should be done. Otherwise, it's the very difficult to understand the way how things really work on. Okay. I will share a kind of an document I will upload, but let me give us some sort of a thing. Yeah, this is a chapter which is could be. Okay, this I will upload to the VLA. Just a minute, I'll put it right now, that one, so everybody can download. This is a free copy available. So maybe the software engineering book. Yeah. Just a second, wait a second. Just wanted to. So if you go here in the course page, I have uploaded in a chapter you can download. It's a chapter 26 on the process improvement of the Somaveli's book. And that contains a lot of details with respect to the software development processes. Let's me take it this thing. Yes. So here they discuss about the process improvement. Okay, what are some of the things. So I briefly discuss, I mean, some of the key things. Now, this diagram is very important. This diagram shows a product quality has a 4 dimension. One is the process quality. The other one is the people quality. This is what we say the very, very important process and the people. It's something like the right hand and the left hand. But then there was another thing, the development technology. So the development technology also is affecting the product quality. So the technology people will adopt. This technology was adopted by as a part of the process. And the people will use it. So automation takes place. I mean, this technology is the one which will help the people and also to increase the automation in the process. But that is what I mean, irrespective of the project, those are the three things that will affect in the software process. However, what is this cost time more than the schedule? I think it's I don't agree with the schedule. I say the scope. Triple constraint is another underlying factor that affects to the product. The main thing is this. It's a small project. Most probably people, if they follow the right way, they can work it and improve it. But if it is in a large project, always three dependent variables have a direct influence on the product quality. So the descriptions is given in this chapter, but a very important diagram, factors affecting the software product quality. So the software product quality, as I told you earlier, is the outcome of a process. Okay. And so these things, then they are part of the process. They are the things which affects. Then I think it's the process improvement they discuss in detail in this chapter. So the process improvement, it's also very, very important matter. So how do you, as I told you earlier, process improvement will have a 3 stages. Yeah, this is the one I told you earlier. Measure, analyze, change. This is the circle. So people need to do these things very seriously in order to develop the process. I mean, it is a continuous process. And at a one stage, they may want to get the validation for the process, whether they do it or whether it's external validation. This is the ISO or CMMI certification where people will request. So that is, I'll come back to that one. But then in addition to that, there was another thing, process characteristics. So always a process, software process engineering we're talking about. There are several characteristics. So people really need to think about these things carefully. So first one is called the understandability. It says to what extent the process explicitly defined and how easy is it to understand the process definition. Most of the time, if the process is a very complex, what will be the problem? The people will not be able to understand. So it's a very important to have a kind of a way to create a good understanding. And sometimes even the external stakeholders, the customers, also should have some sort of an understanding to have that mutual agreement between the both parties. Standardization, it's a very, very important, because especially the outside parties will look at this is where people really need to develop to what extent the process based on the standard generic process. This may be important for some customers who requires conformance with the set of a defined process standards. To what extent is the same process is on all or parts of a company. Okay. So sometimes the processes are defined with respect to the organization. So the projects at the project level, people may want to customize the process and how that framework facilitates to do that one. The visibility. Do the process activities culminate in a clear result so that the process of the progress of the process is externally visible. Okay, where the other people can see how much is pending work. In the agile thing we may discuss, some of you may know the burn down chart is a good visible tool which always shows the how much is remaining to be done. Then measurability, supportability, acceptability. I'm not going to read everything. Reliability, robustness, maintainability, rapidity. How fast the process of delivering a system from a given specification of complete. So the mainly, I mean, these process characteristics are very, very important. Why we call these things as a process attributes. So here in the software process engineering, we really, it's looked at these attributes, the managing these attributes, the kind of a very important activity. And here they define the process improvement. One of the things like the process measurement. It's something the people really need to consider.
CH26 process improvement.pdf. One of.
So process measurement attributes of the current project or product are the measured. The aim is to improve the measure according to the goals of the organization involved in the process improvement. This forms a baseline that helps you decide if the process improvement have been effective. Okay. And then the process analysis, as I just briefly said, is a current process assessed, process weaknesses and the bottlenecks are identified. Okay, so once you have the measurement data, you really need to analyze at the second stage. And then the third stage will be the make some changes based on those issues. So this is what is defined there. So the details are given. You don't want to learn, I mean, go into detail, but get a rough idea. What are the main components that happens in the software process engineering? So everything in this chapter is not required, isn't a part of thing. Overall understanding what I just explained would be enough. Okay. And another important thing that everybody need to know about this standardization. This chapter talked about only the CMMI standardization. So here, if you think the process change, the process change process, okay, how actually this change thing is done. The usually this graphic is nice. It says identify the improvements, okay, from the process model. So once the people identify, the model could be customized. And also prioritize the improvements, process change plan, and the training plan. So once the process is changed, the others must be updated, okay, how those changes could be accommodated. Introduce process change, train engineers, and then it comes the feedback on the improvements and the true process changes and the revised process model, you can see. So model still plays a critical role there. And then again, the if people analyze, it comes to this level. Yeah, so this is the overall thing, how the process change. And then in this chapter, this is the CMMI process improvement framework. Very briefly, it says, so no need to go into detail, just to know about that. I'm not, because of the, don't want to take it a very advanced level, because this is a separate one. Software process engineering is usually in a separate course. So I have only a topic. So ISO also have a completely different model and the mechanism, but organizations are supposed to do. So here it's given some details, especially keep in mind CMMI has maturity model. It's known as 5 levels. So organizations are evaluated, and sometimes organization says we are on the level 3, we are on the level 4. I mean, I don't want to mention the names, in several Sri Lankan companies also said that the different levels. So then that shows kind of the maturity they have it. I mean, then the people, the client or the customers will not hesitate to invest in their projects when they give to those projects to some other people. So level 1, 2, 3, and the ISO is also now more popular, people consider. So some details about the CMMI is given. So at least if you know there are 5 models, 5 levels, okay. So organization start from the initial, they keep on improving, and then they get the external reviewers to evaluate the process and get a certification, even in an external organization, to grade their level. That's how this works. So if I go to the other thing, I think I just unshare this one. Yeah. This page. I mean, I just want to give a brief introduction like that about the software process, okay, especially the how software processes are managed and how people improve. But I thought it most interesting thing is this one, this open up. It's a very good one because the main reason it shows how these things are practiced, very academic point of view. So the video is there that you can watch when if you have the time. But the most important thing is based on these 3 things: unified process, agile, and the community. And because of this iterative, incremental, risk focused, use case driven architecture, that's the, you may remember why we say so, that's here. And then open up is in a kind of a refinement of a UP, but where we directly bring the agile practices. So that is the main thing. So if you have some experience of the this Eclipse process framework, it is part of the thing comes, not very popular now, but still academically, it's a good model, I feel, where people can understand open source model, still very strong, people can use no problem. And the many organizations use a customized version of the open up, where minimal, complete, extensible are the 3 factors, and which they say it's an iterative software development process, and where agile and lightweight process, so it integrates. So I have the details and some of the things, please spend some time. So philosophy behind the open up, okay, should know the project goal, simplicity, agility, tool independence, tailor-made on needs, collaborative development. The most important thing, this provides some sort of a tool to monitor the process, or what we call the process measurement, then analyze, and then make changes. So what I mentioned you as the software development process, the open up, people consider as a model, but that comes within a process. Okay. So it has so many other things, and the people can improve this one. So the cooperation and collaboration is the kind of the big matter that comes in the software engineering. So what is that? It's like to ask, I mean, the more details are given. What is your opinion? How do you see the cooperation and collaboration in software engineering? What are your views? What are your views with respect to the cooperation and collaboration? What is more important? If I ask in that way, cooperation or collaboration? Collaboration. Collaboration is more important. Okay. So then my question is, why do you say so? Collaboration is more important than the cooperation. The cooperation is the starting point where you have to cooperate with other people. But the issue is in the cooperation, sometimes other party will not take the responsibility most of the time. They consider the whole process as a kind of a thing they have given to another party, and it is their responsibility to develop it and give it to me. So it's a common belief and the common way. Yes, software development is essentially a cooperative work, which is a collaboratively performed. Yes, cooperative work. That's right. Nice statement. But even suppose if you wanted to build a house, you will may give it as a contract to some company, or even sometimes you may give those things to the some different groups and wanted to strictly monitor their thing. Even if you give the whole thing as a contract to another company, even in a construction, you have to involve in the process. It's not just people just can't say, should not expect the everything by just saying we are paying for you. They need to be in a part of the process where they really need to work with them. They have to collectively take the responsibility and make the decisions. So the collaboration promotes that style. Without that style, it's a very difficult to develop good piece of a software. Okay, so this is the main reason why the collaboration is more important than the cooperation. Okay, so some details are given. So these are the three things. I mean, the minimal, complete, extensible. This facilitates the changes that we can do some changes. So another problem in the some processes, what you will see, difficult to change. If we can't change the process, then you have to live with all the problems. That's also not a good thing. So the process will require kind of a modification, sometimes due to the project, sometimes due to some other reasons. And once people see some modification be done, so the basic thing, minimum, the basic thing is included. Complete, I mean, you can use, it's a complete thing. It's not like an abstract class. Extensible, so that is where you improve it. Four very interesting principles. I mean, these principles are related to the main thing, collaborate, to align the interest and the share understanding. So it's the people. These principles work with the people. Balance intercompleted the priorities to maximize the stakeholder balance. So work management to maximize the outcome. Focus on the architecture early to minimize the risk and organize the development. Yes. A best practice in the technical context. Evolve to continuously obtain the feedback and improve. Yes. People are not very rigid. People just worked, monitor, and analyze and change. So those 4 mutually supporting core principles are very, very interesting. I'm not going to discuss the details since the recording is available, and if you already know, then maybe a very simple thing. So the descriptions are very important about these things. So please go through. And these 4 principles, on the other hand, could be mapped to the what is called the Agile Manifesto. I'm assuming that you have heard. Sorry, I think my connection had a problem. Let's share it again. Yeah, now core principles mapping to Agile Manifesto. I hope you can hear me. Am I correct? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this mapping is a very important. I mean, this is the way how you link the open up with the Agile. So that help the people to move forward. And then overall, the governance model and the management model is depicted in this particular diagram. Okay, so I think I have only that thing. Yeah. So if you looked at 3 layers, okay, the first layer we call it incremental. The daily work, personal focus, individuals work items, and they contribute to the teamwork layer, team focus. So it is in the daily increment, and this is the iterations within a time, some sort of a timeline where they will have a demovable or shippable bill to the as and goes to the client and the other parties. And this is, you may remember, unified process classification of the work stages, and it goes like this, where the risk will be reduced and the value will go up. So please go through, and it's the main thing here. So we call the micro increments, personal focus and the team focus, and then the project life cycle focus at the high level. So 3 levels of visualization of the work in there. And then open up project life cycle. That is where you see the elaboration moves like this, okay, stages wise: inception, elaboration, construction, transition, okay. And many tools comes with that, and their life cycle is described here. And also the micro increments and the things, work breakdown structure. So this is abstract thing it shows, and all these things, as these are the part of the toolkit, I say. It's not a tool, it's a toolkit. So many things comes with them. So even in a work breakdown structure that could be customized. So based on this abstract one is given. And inception details are given how it works. And sometimes some design patterns are also recommended for people, different patterns to improve the work and at different stages. And these are the workflows. Open up disciplines we call architecture, configuration, development, project management, requirements test. So those are the 6, you may remember, it's there. And most important thing is people in roles perform tasks that use the product, that produce artifacts. People's in roles. What does it mean? I mean, most of the time we have many roles. Right now, I am a teacher in this course. In the same organization, in another context, I am administrator of the organization. And in another context, I am a colleague of some staff members within it's in a part of the member of the community. And so there are several roles that I have to play even within the UCSC. And when I go out from the UCSC, those roles are not valid at all. Even at home, all my designation, nothing doesn't make any sense at all. I have a completely different set of roles. So people in roles. So we perform different tasks when we having the correct hat role, perform tasks that use and produce artifacts. So ultimately, we contribute by creating the artifacts. These artifacts are arranged in order to finalize the final product. So OpenUp describes the minimal set of roles, tasks, and artifacts involved in the software development. So this is a very good summary that I always like to read about the OpenUp. And if you study, then you will get a real picture how a process engineering takes place. So they describe basic element of the process: role, work product, task, process, guidance. Okay, and if you really like, you can download this one and install on the Eclipse framework and even try out. And they have a big documentation which you can also think, and the developer role, project manager, stakeholder role, and the different roles are described there. So artifacts, so 17 artifacts they have it. They described here as given the template, classified, typical artifacts description. I mean, all these things on the templates are available. So then in a real project, it's very easy for people to modify these things and take them into a real output. And so they are classified: architecture notebook, there is one artifact; development, there are 4, implementation, build, developer, test, design, project management, requirement, the test. So you can see those things. So these are the typical artifacts. Yeah, 17 essential artifacts. So it means it is not fixed 17. People can add more, but they have identified work products or the artifact 17. And then another thing, task. Okay. Yeah. So here, task, 18 different tasks. And every task is performed by something called the primary performer and additional performer. I mean, in any context, there are some directly responsible guys and there are some supporting team. So it's a collective responsibility, and that is what he described here. And then the typically a task is described, the template is given. And then you can task are grouped based on the discipline. Those are the architecture, development, project management, the requirement test, those things. And the task development also is given. And all these templates available, and that is very easy for people to take it and modify. That's all what they have. And the OpenUp software development life cycle. So the process, and I think the life cycle, you may remember I mentioned it's the main stages. They define the 4 main stages. It's in a unified process based stages, but it comes with a big thing. So the model have helped the process to define what are the main stages. So the practices, agile practices for OpenUp offers following benefits: categorize management practices, technical practices. Okay, they classify into this one. And management practices then comes with the other thing. Technical practices, different things are there, description. Finally, is minimal, complete, extensible process. Use agile techniques and the principles, has a structured life cycle that assures the delivery of the quality software. So if you spend some time to understand, you will really see how software process engineering works more than because rather than thinking about the tech in theoretical way, discussing the software process engineering, I felt if you use this open up is a good example for you to understand how the process engineering could be formed. And even this is still could be, people can take it, customize, add new practices, and can take it into any context they like it. Okay, so that's the main thing that I wanted to today to present. So you can go through the slides, or if you can also go through the relevant video lectures. I also recorded some of the things briefly explaining some of the things. Sorry, it's here. Yeah, so there are 4 parts, okay, about that. And open up description is there, and get kind of an overall understanding about the process engineering, what I explained to you earlier. Yeah, so that's all about the process engineering part. And at the same time, try to participate on this activity if you know now models and other thing. At least not pick any two, and you can discuss and share your comments on that one as a feedback. And at the same time, go through this one. So I will give an activity most probably the next time. So this is the third section. So that is all what I had to present. Now it is time for you to ask question, anything. So do we need to reply to selected topics of the posted topics or add new topic by justifying to selected topics? I am just, I request you to, rather than creating the other topics, please follow the discussion based on the question which I have posted. Okay, otherwise it becomes a mess. Don't do that one. Just participate the discussion based on the things. Now, for example, if I show you, I think I put more than, yeah, more than 10 topics. Oh, yeah. So several. It's coming. So discuss under any 2 topics. Okay. Yeah. Don't post the new topics. No need. These things is enough. Otherwise, it becomes a too bulky. Yeah. Any question, anything? I'm happy to answer any question with regard to these 2, and very important stuff in the software engineering. Okay. Need to get an overall understanding. What is a process? What is a model? And why process is so important. Organization needs to standardize the process. And there are lots of other things people use. I didn't go for an ISO and CMMI. Just keep it in here. There are 2 external standards which people can use to standardize their process. So that is there. And generally what will happen in the process, this measurement, analyze, and then change. It's a continuous process. And the model is a core thing inside the process. And this is an organizational thing. So people actually use this one to market their development capabilities. So the process, any process could become matured. Okay, yes. So then the reliability will be high. The quality of the software product will be there. So the 2 things we really need to keep in mind, that is the quality of the people and the process. So sometimes we may have a very good process. If the people are bad, then things outcome will be a failure. Sometimes the people are good, the process is weak, then the same outcome. So both plays an equally important role. Okay, you have to prepare it, you have to change it, you have to change the process and that accommodate the people, and at the same time you really need to achieve the at the end. So it's a big production management. Okay, a process, we never use that word production management, but in the technical terms it's the what really happens. And in the organization, in the software company, they have to do this one, and this comes with lots of other tools, facilities, as you may remember. Development technology, okay, plays a very important. Okay, so whether it is in a small project or whether it's in a big project, the process matters a lot. And if the lot of supporting tools is very, very important. It's a large people, and anytime a person could go and new people may come, and even project may become complete and go into a maintenance mode. So this overall big understanding is very important, and open unified process is in a rather than a model, I would always say is in a process. Okay, it comes in Eclipse process framework, so it's a process, but they adopted the UP unified process and then bring the open source material. So therefore, anybody can use all this documentation, and many organizations have developed their own models based on them. Some are based on like that, and that's the kind of a trend and the status with respect to the way how things are organized to develop good engineered product at the end, the quality product, we could say, a product with a high quality. Yes, over to you for any question, any comments, even if you have a comment, I'm warmly welcome. If you have some experience to share with the others, happy to hear that. Okay, so then absence of those things, we will finish today's session, but I will invite all of you to participate the activities. And you also have an essay to write it when time permits, hope you remember. And this is also a part of the continuous activity, participating of this discussion. And so with that, we'll try to meet it next week. So do we need to do the discussion on the new trends in software engineering forum under the challenges in software? Yeah, that is something I put it as an open thing if somebody really, because I now closed the challenges forum. Okay, I finished that one, but I keep that new trends one open. So it's not compulsory. If you like to say something, you are welcome always. But participation of this discussion is compulsory. Participation of the new trends is an option. Okay, I'm not expecting, because if you have already participated the challenges one, then most probably that's okay. So when the due is due for this discussion forum? We put it 2 weeks, ne? That's enough, ne? I'll put 2 weeks from today onwards. So I know that all of you are busy, needed a time to evaluate. I'll put 2 weeks, yes, that's fine. I think. Maybe not next Sunday, the Sunday after that. I'll keep it like will give you also the weekend. So after that, I'll close the thing. Let me show you how to do that. Description is I'll modify. So I'll keep it for 2 weeks. That's fine. When will be the timeline for the challenges essay, that 1-page document? I think I gave it on that time that you can find. Give me a second. I'll show you. An essay on the challenges. It is, you have a time remaining 6 days and 8 hours. 3 people have submitted. So if you go there, you see the deadline. 6 days and 8 hours is remaining. Is it purely based on our experience or references?
So do we need to consider about those categories of those things like developers, QA point of view, and project management point of view? All those concerns do we need to consider, or in
You
developer
mean for the essay?
perspective only? Yes, only the
No, no.
developer perspective only we need to consider that.
For the challenges, I think it's quite okay for one perspective. If you do it, that's no problem. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, one perspective. It's just the one. I mean, after reading all the discussion, and if you just search and find some more details, then you can write in a 1-page essay. But try to write it in a creative way. And I said it is a 1 page, but you can go to the 2 pages if you have to put some references. So it's okay. It's purely based. I mean, that's freedom is there. When will be the timeline for yes, I said that one, and then essay. Yeah. Any question? Any other thing? So then I think no more question I can see. So without taking more time of your time, and you can spend time on the activities which I have given. Okay, do them and learn it, then it's easier for you to keep the activities with the syllabus. Then otherwise, too many work will come with another subjects also, I guess. Okay. So then I'll finish the session for the today.
Thank you, sir.
Stop.